Hey, what's up guys? There simply isn't enough time, so I'll explain as I go here, but I'm trying to bring you news every single day or as they come, and Apple is making this very, very difficult. Oh man, it's very tiring. Like, we're rendering nonstop, then some big news comes out, and hope you guys work with me on this one because I'll be transplanting some of the info from this video into tomorrow's or the day after video, but eventually I want to make this like an everyday thing, and I hope you guys see that. I'm sitting far away from the camera because I need to be using that thing. I don't know why I'm not. Trying to go to 19.5 to 9 aspect ratio for the iPhone XS Max devices. I know I get a lot of requests for that, so trust me, I'm on it. Today's developments begin with Apple's not even competition with Tile, but more like domination of them. Apple wants to own every part of your life, and it is brilliant thinking because they want to be the next Tile. This is a huge report, of course, leaked by 9to5Mac. 9to5Mac is becoming so prominent, it's scary. I love what you guys are doing, but anyways, this latest leak goes into Apple's domination of Find My iPhone. They basically want you to not lose things anymore is the gist of it. And I'm only gonna get into the hardware side. In the next video, we'll cover more. There isn't enough time, and I don't want to waste your time. I'm not here to waste anyone's time. So Apple is working on a Tile-like keychain replacement, and I don't know if this will go on your keychain. I'm assuming it will. So this is something we threw together in a matter of hours. So just so you know, what we're doing here is like creating these projects from leaks, and most of all, I want to give you guys visuals, for news that doesn't have visuals. I assume it'd be smaller than the Tile, like it'd have a little keychain ring. Apple would make it a very friendly and bubbly design, but also functional. Like, one of the worst things about the Tile is that they get caught, and I imagine that it'll be free spinning, so you'll be able to hook it and it'll spin. It'll be just a very cool little toy. Internally, it's called the B389, and basically you'll be able to attach it to anything in your life, make it easier. Apple's not stopping there. They're completely redoing the application for Find My iPhone, Find My Friends. They're combining it into one, and it's brilliant, really. Like, why not get better at something that already makes the iPhone really good? So basically, the way I see this is a really bad news day for Tile today. They're about to have an insane bombshell just dropped on their company because Apple's gonna take what they're doing and they're gonna do it better in the Apple fashion, of course. So this basically, it's awesome. It makes my life easier. I don't lose my stuff, and that's the best part about it. Okay, I get it. This thing is seriously a good thing. In Russian, we call it хорошая вещь. Like, this thing makes your life easier in pretty much every aspect, and I love that. So Apple's gonna take this and refine it. It'll be synced to your iCloud account. Basically, Tile Pro is a service, but Apple's probably gonna give it to you for free. You just buy their hardware for it. The most brilliant part is that when you do lose that little tag, you'll be able to put it into a lost mode, and other Apple products will get a little readout once they find it. They'll be able to NFC pair it, probably, I'm assuming, with that tag. The little Apple Find, whatever, I'll just call it the Apple Find for now. You'll be able to tag it and get info on your device, how to return it to the owner. It's brilliant. Apple basically wants you to never lose a single thing in your life again. They want to make a crowdsourced network connecting everyone to every lost thing or every object in your life, essentially. And I think it's the most brilliant thing. Like, Apple is still innovating, really, and this will be a big thing, big part of your life. There's no release date on that, but 9to5Mac, thank you for what you do, and we'll get into more on that. Anyways, iOS 13, there was a very, very big report. I regret to inform you I can't cover the entire thing in this video, but I'll cover one thing and then tomorrow's video and beyond that. I don't want to miss out on the key details. That's the one thing that I think you'll find on this channel is I'm very good at locating those small details, and I want to take my time on this because this is a big report. I can't just throw it at you. But anyways, dark mode is happening, and Apple is very committed to that, and they're tying it in with their Marzipan project. I think that's how you say it, I don't know. Basically, the cross-platform apps between your iPad, your iPhone, your Mac computer. Apple's kicking down the door into that world this year with iOS 13, and eventually they'll go where every app is every app, no matter which device it's on, and that's awesome. But dark mode is a great first step towards that reality because right now, there's no synchronizing between devices. You go from your macOS device with a dark mode to your iPad to your iPhone, and it's not there, and it sucks. Like, you really get used to it, and Apple wants to clear that gap right now and fix it as soon as possible. Okay, and this one is very tricky because it could be multiple things, but I'll report it first, how it's reported. And EDN, which is a Taiwan-based investment firm, they're claiming that Apple has some very grand plans for the iPhone SE line. So I'm tying this in, this is my speculation, just so you know, but what I see their report as being is a misrepresentation. Like, they just didn't get the big picture, and we'll definitely see, but this is my guess. So they're saying Apple will be re-releasing the iPhone 8 with a single lens camera with a new internal layout for the logic board with the Apple A13 chip, the Apple A13 Omega. I mean, I love saying that. That is a cool term. So they're saying that they're going to be re-releasing the iPhone 8 for a $649 price tag. Like, that just sounds insane to me. Can you imagine the iPhone lineup, the iPhone 11R, the iPhone XS Max or 11 Max, you know, all these cool, nice gadgets, and then an iPhone 8 in there with the square design, just $649, $100 less than the latest and best. Like, why even bother at that point if everyone's just gonna pay $100 more and get the latest device? So my point is that the iPhone SE news we heard about earlier, that one was supposed to have a 4.8-inch display. This one is a 4.7-inch, so I'm connecting the dots here and it's a stretch, but the iPhone SE with that 4.8-inch display, the refresh, is going to be what this thing is because it just makes sense, more in the lineup sense. Like, I would pay $650 for a small 4.8-inch iPhone, but I would never pay for a refreshed iPhone 8 for $650. And if Apple thinks that anyone would, they're absolutely insane. So, you know, work with me here. It's a guess, but I'm thinking that the iPhone SE is coming back and Apple is going to be very smart about it. Forgot to mention, by the way, some backtracking here. The iOS 13 dark mode will have a high contrast version. So much like on macOS, you can turn up the contrast if you have a hard time seeing things. So Apple's going to be very carefully considering. And I thought about this for a little while. Why take so long to release a dark mode? But Apple's going to do it smart. They're going to do it right, establish a standard, which is what they always do. That's just their design language. They'll make a base for this dark mode and they're thinking about it so well, and only from there it'll keep getting better and better. So, you know, keep going, Apple. You guys are on the right track. And I'm tying this in with a concept from Daniel Corpai. I actually just came across this guy. Brilliant work. So iOS 13 will have improved support for the iPad with multiple windowed apps running at the same time. And the best way to put this into scope is just to show you his concept. Basically, Apple could be doing so much more with the iPad than what they're doing right now. And this is the best way to show you. You can put up many apps on the window and then just swipe through them. There's going to be gestures. It'll be a very smart and innovative system. You know, I couldn't have even thought of this, but it's brilliant. So check that guy's work out down below. I implore you, I will link him down below. Some absolutely great work there. And the crazy thing about the leak from 9to5Mac is they describe it as literally the exact same system as what you're seeing here. So this guy one-upped Apple by showing the world what they're about to release come June, you know? So anyways, I'm gonna read this, but essentially you're gonna be able to take a portion of the screen, you'll detach it with a drag gesture. Now, the most important takeaway from this is these cards can be stacked on top of each other, and they use a depth effect to indicate which cards are on top and which are on the bottom. So you'll be able to know, like, skeuomorphism is coming back in a very smart and intelligent way, and you'll be able to fling them away to dismiss them. Anyways, I think that's brilliant, and Apple is doing some very great innovative work. Okay, and this gets even crazier. So Apple is actually working on an attachment to probably their 6K display, their iMacs as well. You'll be able to use an iPad as an external display. Now, this already exists. Apple was beat to the punch from Luna Display, but Apple, of course, will do it better. So this will be native support for this feature. You'll be able to throw up applications directly towards that iPad. You'll hover over that green button in the top left corner in the macOS browser itself, and you'll be able to easily fling it over there. I think it's brilliant. I could use another external display, and what better one to use than an iPad I already own? Why buy more hardware for that? There's a lot of details on this one. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna throw it into the next video. I'm so sorry, like, I'm delegating everything, but there's just too much news. My eventual structure is I want to get these videos out faster and give you more real-time news with visuals. Okay, there have been some very big developments in the world of chip making. Now, TSMC and Huawei are partnering to produce the world's first extreme ultraviolet lithography chip, and that's using the 7nm refined process. And I try to put it into visuals for you, so kind of make it a little purple there, but essentially they're beating Apple to the punch for this new technology. And not to worry though, is Apple is coming right back at them with a new refined process, N7 Pro. So they're going to be the first for that refined 7nm chip structure, but Apple will do it better. And we don't know what the difference will be, but supposedly Apple will outdo even Huawei, which raced to be the first using this technology. It's very complex stuff, and in complete layman's terms, I'm trying to make it very simple to digest. Apple waits. Apple always waits and sees what everyone's going to do. They never rush, because when there's rush, technology just doesn't work. Basically, the N7 Pro technology is ready, and Apple will be using it come iPhone 11 time. So I'm gonna tie this all in with Macworld's article, which is spectacular, on the expectations for the Apple A13 chip. Now this is something very hard to predict because Apple always outdoes themselves, and that is awesome, but they actually gave a very detailed write-up as to why, and backed it up with evidence and past, chip improvements, why this will be. And I'll try and break it down for you. So what we can expect from the Apple A13 is that the chip size, I need my chart here. So the chip size will actually be growing. This is the wrong one. Where's my proper one? I built a shelf over here. I'll show it to you guys later. But anyways, so we're gonna start with this one right here, and chip sizes are always different. So actually tearing into the iPhones, I never really understood this until I did that, is chip sizes always vary. Transistors get smaller, but you can fit more onto the same chip size. So why make the chip smaller if it doesn't have to be? Essentially, the Apple A13 will be about 25% larger than the A12 in size. So, it's still one of actually the smallest chip Apple has made in the iPhone. It's smaller than the original one, but not by much. Oh wait, actually, this one's pretty small. But anyways, what Macworld is saying is you'll be able to fit 20% more transistors into the same surface area, but the chip will still be growing 25% larger with a 10% efficiency boost. That's big. You're gonna have an absolute powerhouse in your pocket, and it blows my mind that Apple just gives this technology away. Most people do not understand how much power sits in their phone, but you have it. And we'll explain why Apple needs this power here in a second. So they're saying the transistors will be growing from 6.9 billion to around 10 billion, which, to put into perspective, is what the Apple A12X can do. So your Apple A13 will catch up to this absolute mammoth. Like, this is a beast of a chip. Man, it is a work of art on its own, and that is technology for you. So that's going to become the new standard on iPhones without needing, an iPad to do it, which is crazy. So what they're inferring from this is that Apple's going to do something with this power, but they're also going to give a little bit of room in that chip. Well, not a little, they're going to give more room to neural processing, Apple's neural nets. So AI, basically AR, VR, Apple's going to focus a big part of that chip onto those emerging technologies. And that's very important because iOS 13 will be built entirely around those processes. And it's just crazy to see this being formed right before our eyes, right before Apple releases it. Now here's another thing, and I'm gonna tie this in with the live photos feature. So Macworld is saying Apple could use all of this power, why you need so much power, to implement the new AV1 video format standard. And it's a big, who knows if Apple will do this at this point, but it's logically the replacement for HEVC, which we just got, I know, and which is why I don't think Apple will do this just yet, but they could. It's more efficient, it preserves quality, it's lossless, like it's the best evolution for video format. So Apple will absolutely do something with this power. And the last thing we're gonna touch on is 5G. So Macworld briefly made a statement, obviously no 5G in the new iPhones this year, and there have been some crazy developments since then. So first off, I'll tell you what we're gonna use for 2019 iPhones. So here's the latest development. Intel will not be doing 5G anymore. It's just not in their plans. They don't want to commit to 5G modems anymore because Qualcomm's already there. It just doesn't make sense, is the point. And Apple's 5G modem is looming. I understand their decision. So Apple will be doing business with Intel for this year's iPhone, the Intel 7660 modem, which is still an evolution from the 7560 used in the XS. Unfortunately, Intel's modems kind of suck, and it's clear as day as to why they're leaving this business. Like, a lot of complaints from XS owners about dropped calls, dropped signals. I personally am one of them. So logically, I hope Apple gets away from Intel as soon as possible, but they need them for this stopgap until they start building their own modems. And here's the crazy part, is Apple is now officially doing business with Qualcomm. So their suit got settled, they settled their differences because Qualcomm will be a very invaluable future for Apple. Their business relations rely on each other to produce that in-house modem. And here's where I see things going. Apple will be using Qualcomm to produce 5G modems eventually with their name on it. They'll actually be using 5G in the 2020 iPhones using Qualcomm's modems. So that's the most insane development, first off. They will be using Qualcomm in the iPhone. That's just, it's nuts to think about it, but it's happened and here we are. News changes fast. And then 2021, beyond that, Apple will be taking a look at how they can improve the modem. So they're gonna delegate this to someone else because they really do not have enough time to catch up, but they'll get there. And just to show you why Apple never hesitates to adopt new technologies is the emerging market for 5G. Samsung has went all the way in with their Galaxy S10, and a lot of people are complaining between switching from 5G back to LTE. Some users are reporting they need to reboot their iPhones several times to get it to accept an LTE signal. It's probably a software issue, can be fixed no problem, but it goes to show you that you should never jump into an emerging technology and ship it on your brand new phone. There's a reason why the 5G S10 is separate from the real one. And not even mentioning the Galaxy Fold. There's a reason why Apple is going to be very careful about their foldable phone, whatever it's going to be eventually. They're just looking at this mess on Samsung's hands with the Galaxy Fold. So there's a reason this phone is not being sold mainstream to everyone. But anyways, guys, just want to say I'm going to clean these videos up. They'll come out faster. Just work with me for these coming weeks. Peace.